Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with an old school wrestling review for you today. Feel like I haven't shot a video in the office here in quite a while, and as you can see, I need to clean this motherfucker up. But there's actually more room on the floor than you would think, which is not normal. Usually, you can barely get into this fucker. Anyhow, today I'm going to talk about WCW's The Great American Bash, which was held Sunday, June 15th, 1997, Father's Day, live from the Tat Slayer Center in Moline, Illinois, which I guess is one of those suburbs outside Chicago, right around where they shot Wayne's World. But yeah, just perfect example of how WCW is operating during the Monday Night Wars. They had the pay-per-view, in Moline, but Raw was in Chicago. Because they were expecting more people to watch Raw than the pay-per-view. So why even sell the pay-per-view? Our commentators here are Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, with our ring announcer being David Pinzer. There are 9,000 people in attendance, and really we're about, kind of closing in on 1 year of the NWO. WWF wasn't really quite Attitude Era yet. They were definitely definitely on their way there, but, stuff like DX, the debut of Kane, Stone Cold becoming world champion, and Jim Ross being made head ring announcer, we're all still months away. And, so let's just get into it. We had 9 matches on the card, and I might as well just run them down one by one, because that's what I do. The first match is, credited or titled as a respect match. It's so fucking hot in my place. Goddamn Florida in the summer, man. Credited as a respect match, whatever the hell that means. But Psychosis with Sonny Ono versus Ultimate Dragon, which is bullshit to me. He's Ultimo Dragon. For years he misspelled his name, and he misspelled Psychosis' name too. It's not supposed to have a Y in it. It's supposed to have an extra I. The whole background to this was Sonny Ono had turned on Ultimo Dragon, basically turning Dragon face after costing him the TV title at the previous pay-per-view, Slamboree to William Regal. This is one of the best matches of the whole fucking show, to be honest with you. It's probably my favorite match of the night, and that's the main event. A lot of them are great. There's really interesting way Psychosis worked this match. That how, usually, conceptually, the idea of doing high-risk moves is babyface stuff because you put so much on the line to get the advantage. But Psychosis only goes high-risk when it's like, when he already has the advantage kind of situation, like when Dragon's already down, or he's distracted by Jimmy Hart, or something like, or tied up in the ropes. He goes high risk in this match, but he does it in very, very heel ways. A very smart played match. Very smart wrestler. Psychosis was very underrated anyways. But this is a terrific match. Eventually, Sonny Ono accidentally hits his own man. That causes Psychosis to stumble back into the Dragon Sleeper, and Psychosis taps out, giving Dragon the submission victory. 14 minutes into the match. Very good match. Very good match. We do their usual WCWWrestling.com backstage interview, this time with Chris Benoit. There's only the one cutaway this night. Usually they would do that just way too much. It would drive me nuts, to tell you the truth. Up next is the number one contender match to decide who's going to go on to challenge for the tag team titles. We have Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray, with Sensational Sherry, or Sister Sherry, she was going by at the time in WCW, taking on the Steiner brothers, Ricky and Scott. This is legit one of my all-time favorite wrestling rivalries, not just the Steiners versus Heat, but Scott versus Booker, man. These guys literally battled for every conceivable championship in the WCW during their tenure there, and all on pay-per-view, except for, cruiserweight women. Don't be silly. You've seen these men, they ain't cruiserweights. But this, unfortunately, for me, I mean, this was a disappointment because I was ready for a barn burner with these two teams, especially being on pay per view and high stakes like a title shot on the line. But eventually, Vincent interferes, and the guy's never. Vincent interferes, causes a disqualification when he elbows Booker in the back of the head, and even though Booker T, the Harlem Heat get the title shot, the only one by DQ. So, Booker T's fine with it. He doesn't give a shit. Title shot's a title shot. But Stevie Ray seems pissed off about it. Steiner Brothers beat Michelle Vincent afterwards. It was a shame. It kind of got the vibe that because of the DQ finish, these guys never really got out of second gear for this match. However, it was still great to see. He's such a natural, such an easy to love babyface is Booker T. That you really do forget how great of a heel he can be. Go back, watch the King Booker stuff. Watch his run with the Alliance and his run at this time with Harlem Heat. He was a very good heel. Lots and lots of in-ring trash talk. I always liked that stuff from heel, and he was terrific at it. However, this match was just a disappointment to me, mainly because of the DQ, but also because it really felt like because of the DQ, these guys didn't give it more. And I've seen situations where guys are like, well, we're going to have a non-finish, we're going to have a draw or something like that tonight. So let's really kind of go out of our way to have the best match of the night since we're not going to be able to give these people a satisfying ending. I think that's more admirable. That's the path you should take. But, it is what it is. This match went 12 minutes, ended by disqualification. Harlem Heat are number one contenders. Up next is a bit of a grudge match. We have Conan versus Hugh Morris. And it is time to fall asleep. It's time to take a nap. Two really, really boring wrestlers who had zero chemistry. I guess it had something to do with the fall of the Dungeon of Doom. And I'm like, holy shit. We're a year nearly into the NWO at this point. The fucking Dungeon of Doom was still a thing? What the fuck? But, the match goes 10 minutes. Conan wins after he throws Hugh Morris into an exposed turnbuckle and then locks on the Tequila Sunrise. Gets the 3-arm drop submission win. And it's trash. This match damn near put me to sleep. Now, as bad as that match was, the show was going to get worse over the next few segments. Up next, we had Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene Okerlund, interviewing, the Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. And just, these guys are not good on the mic at all. They bring on the table, 3 guys sit on the table, they do a dance to the ring, and it's just, it's trash. It goes on way too long. The crowd is not into it. It's very, very, very boring. But still better than the next match. Up next is we have Wrath with James Vanderberg in his corner, also known as James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister. He's taking on Glacier, and the stipulation is Mortis, aka Chris Kanyon, the late Chris Kanyon, is handcuffed to ringside. I swear to God, I saw Chris Kanyon in multiple handcuffed to the ring post gimmicks over the years. But this is just utter shit. 2 guys who weren't really good wrestlers. I've heard people try to say positive things about Glacier over the years, but he was just never worth a damn to me. And, Brian Clark, holy shit. And eventually he would... He got some heat, in a way, when he became Wrath. When he came back years later, he had a bit of a rip-off gimmick of Goldberg, teamed with Brian Adams, started going by his real name, Brian Clark, and it was just, it had a name, Chronic was the team's name. They were shit, but it's the closest thing he ever came to being not shit, to me, you know what I mean? I mean, if the best match you ever had in your whole career was against Doink the Clown, then that should say something about you as a professional, or at least as a performer. Anyhow, this match goes 12 painful minutes. Glacier wins after catching a weapon Mortis tried to throw into the ring. It's a chain. He lays Wrath out with it, hits his cryonic kick, which was basically just an Irish whip, into a super kick, which immediately does look cool. But the fucking camera missed it, and even the replay slow motion camera just caught Wrath falling. So it is easily the most painful match of the night. Crap of the night. Turn of the night. Up next is for the WCW Women's World Championship title versus career. Bet you didn't even know there's a WCW Women's World title. Only 2 women ever held it. Akira Kudo and Devil Masami. In this match is Akira Kudo defending with Sonny Ono, defending against Medusa. And the stipulation here is if Medusa does not win, she has to retire. Lee Marshall is special guest commentator during this match. This is actually a very good match. Lots of good selling. These women, Medusa almost exclusively worked with Japanese female wrestlers. And this was you could tell these girls had good chemistry, had worked together before, and this is a really solid match. A good story of Kudo working on the knee. Eventually, a brainbuster puts Medusa away, and Akira retains the title. And Medusa has to retire. After the match, Mean Gene Okerlund tries to interview her about losing her career and her injury, and gets booed by the crowd for it. I'm with him, leave her alone, man. She just lost a career match. But as far as I know, this was basically Medusa's retirement. She would have a few one-off matches. She would even win the cruiserweight title down the line. But I really felt that after her spending literally years trying to fix the damage caused by a decade of Medusa pimping out the talent, allegedly, that I think she was kind of soul crushed. She between 2 different companies, with WWF and WCW. All they really let her do for a women's division was just really her and whatever of her friends she could bring over that month, and that was a damn shame. Because you go back and you watch these matches, and fucking Charlotte Flair can't hold a candle to these women. I'm sorry. I just think all the praise they throw at her, it's like, oh, she's good in the ring. I don't think she's good in the ring. I think she's competent. I think she's a safe worker, which sometimes is more important than being good. But I just think everything is so telegraphed, it's so obvious, and she doesn't put over her opponents. She never puts over anyone she's working with. And when I mean that, I mean Charlotte Flair is a wrestler who's obviously only concerned about Charlotte Flair looking good. She has a Hogan effect, to me. Anyhow, why talk about Charlotte Flair when I'm doing a video about 1997 wrestling? The match went 11 minutes. Akira Kudo retained. And it's a good match. It's one of the better matches of the night, and one of the few title matches of the night, but the better title match. Up next, was hyped as a return death match between Chris Benoit and Ming. Ming, who has Jimmy Hart in his corner, and gets ran off immediately by Chris Benoit. Kind of keep this one-on-one. It's a return death match because these guys had a death match at Slamboree, and I guess the stipulation to this whole deal is that it's kind of an I Quit match and a last man standing match at the same time, just whichever one comes first. It's good. It's a brutal match. If you know these guys, you know the kind of style. It's hard-hitting, very intense, very brutal. Despite it being clearly a no-holds-barred situation, there's no real use of weapons. These guys don't need weapons to rip you apart. Ugh. Just remember, I'm talking about Chris Benoit. I don't need to talk about ripping people apart. I did think it was a screwy bullshit finish. Benoit wins just under 15 minutes. And it was straight bullshit. He has Ming in the crossface, but Ming doesn't tap out and is still audible doing his he would always do. He's still doing that shit in the crawl space, so he hasn't lost consciousness, but the referee just calls for the bell. So, I mean, to me, Ming got robbed, but both guys get stretchered off, and this is hysterical, frankly. First off, they bring out their stretcher, and they stretcher off Benoit. And then they bring the stretcher back, and they stretcher off Ming. First off, why do you only have the one stretcher? Secondly, if you need to stretcher out both men, doesn't it seem more logical that the man who lost is in more need of immediate medical care? And to cap off the whole ridiculousness of this madness is while they're stretchering me off to the back, they drop the poor bastard off the stretcher going around the ramp. And it gets up, you hear the whole crowd go, because the man just fell off a stretcher. I feel sorry because, I mean, with the reputation he has for being, I mean, he's almost always on the top ranked of the most, actual tough guys in the history of pro wrestling. I just feel sorry for somebody when they got to the back. You fucking dropped me! I don't know if he spoke that good of English, actually. Anyhow. This was a cool match. It was a badass match, to be honest with you. It was one of the better matches of the night. And it wasn't a bad pay-per-view, to be 100% honest. But I am going to have final thoughts about this. It had major problems, and I'll get to those. While Ming is being stretched off, Okerlund pimps the hotline, the WCW hotline, for the second time on this pay-per-view. He's clearly insinuating a certain pink and black attack is coming to the WCW, but he's about 5 months too early on that prediction. No Montreal Screwjob. Not yet. We get a commercial promoting Bash at the Beach in July, mostly centered around the fact that Hollywood Hogan World Champion is going to be tagging with Dennis Rodman. And they don't mention the opponents, who are going to be Lex Luger and Giant, but they're definitely promoting it around the fact that a basketball player is going to be in a wrestling match, and as a heel, at the next pay-per-view. However, and also, by the way, not one of those four men are at this show. Weird. Just weird to me. So up next is easily the most skippable match and maybe in the history of professional wrestling. It's up there with WWE's Zombie Lumberjacks. Steve Mongo McMichael with the beautiful Deborah McMichael and her luscious puppies, but her legs are unappreciated. She's famous for the titties, but she has a great pair of legs. Taking on Kevin Green, because who doesn't want to see two non-wrestlers have a full-length pay-per-view match? This match goes 9 minutes, and it is the shortest match of the night, yes. But it is easily the worst match of the night. And since it's so late on the card, it's like, why even bother? The finish comes with Jeff Jarrett, the brand new U.S. champ at the time, and just won the title from Dean Malenko on Nitro the week before. Comes out with the infamous Halliburton briefcase. Goes to hit Kevin Green with it, but Green ducks. He hits Mongo. Then Kevin Green pins Mongo while the referee didn't see it because Deborah had him distracted. And Kevin Green pins Mongo. I'm laughing and smiling now, but I was not entertained while this was on in any way whatsoever. It was trash. 9 minutes of pain. I think I've had more entertaining. I've had a more entertaining 9 minute stint, like waiting in a doctor's office. I'm sure. At least there you could look at all the other hurt people and try to guess what the fuck happened to them. Up next is the WCW. What we have here? Oh, we do cut back to Medusa in the locker room, but there's no interview. There's no don't really do anything. I don't know why they cut back to her. There's no update on her injury. No talk of her career. I don't really know why they did that. I guess they just had to fill out a few seconds of pay-per-view time because the guys in the Nets match weren't going to work that fucking long. Because up next is for the WCW World Tag Team Championship. It is the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, defending their titles with Sitz, aka X-Pac, or Sean Waltman, who's the WCW Cruiserweight Champion at this time, taking on the once-in-a-lifetime tag team of Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper. The problem here is Piper, Flair, Hogan, Hall, these four guys really didn't like working with each other. I think especially Hall and Piper. And you could tell it's kind of like, oil and water situation. These guys, almost right away, Ric Flair jumps Sitz, and the two of them fight to the back, pretty much leaving Roddy Piper to fight a handicap match the whole night. The match doesn't go long. It goes about just a few seconds over 10 minutes. And eventually, Nash hits a big boot, tags in Scott. Scott hits the Razor's Edge and pins Piper to retain the titles. Considering it was a pay-per-view match, it felt like a Nitro match. It was an angle match. You know what I mean? It was the story of the match wasn't about this match. It was about future matches, like how Flair and Piper were going to fight at Bash at the Beach in the next month, which they did, or Piper and Waltman at Road Wild in 2 months, which they also did. It's a waste of a big pay-per-view moment, and I just killed 10 minutes for an easy payday, but considering the lack of star power on this show, frankly, and take what you can get. Up next, they bring out the WCW Master of Ceremonies, which they never called him, but they should have, and it's Michael Buffer to announce the main ring announcements for the main event, where we will have an Anything Goes Falls Count Anywhere grudge match between the Macho Man Randy Savage with the gorgeous First Lady of Wrestling, Miss Elizabeth, in his corner, taking on Diamond Dallas Page with Kimberly in his corner. That woman does just special things to my groin. Never mind. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyhow, this is a great match. I also meant to point out that during the opening package for this show, there was this weird sound-alike of Tom Petty's Rebel Without a Clue. Just a weird fit for a wrestling theme song, but the shit they do these days is just as bad. I'm surprised they haven't had, Justin Bieber do WrestleMania theme music. Oh, God, that's going to come soon, isn't it? Yeah, this is a great match. Best match of the night. It goes just under 17 minutes. They fight all over the place, including this, barbecue picnic setup they have off the side of the entrance set. It was great. Scott Hall eventually interferes, hits the Razor's Edge, allowing Macho to follow up with a diving elbow, pinning DDP. This feud had actually started back in March at Uncensored, when they basically dragged Page's wife Kimberly into their rivalry, Page's rivalry with the NWO. Savage did, and they had been feuding up to this point, and they kept the feud up until Halloween, at which point both guys would go after Halloween Havoc. They would each go their different ways from then. It is interesting to me that when Diamond Dallas Page finally got a push, became considered a main event big money player, it was because of Randy Savage standing up for him both in the back and on stage, wanting to work with him. And 2 years later, when WCW admittedly was getting just so bad, it's Randy Savage, who's guest referee, screwing over all the other guys in the match to help DDP become world champion. So it's it was kind of cool. Savage was kind of always there for Page, who's maybe my personal favorite wrestling character, at least of all time. I think the greatest in-ring performer in wrestling history is Kurt Angle, and the best overall might be Chris Jericho. Anyhow, pros and cons with this show. I mean, I gotta say, the pros, good matches. ultimately, for the exception of the Glacier match, the footballers match, and Conan and Morris. I mean, everything else was good to great. And frankly, but that's still 30 minutes of really bad wrestling I got to sit through in this show. But the biggest problems, more so than that to me, was a lack of stakes. For the exception of the main event. Main event has no stakes. It's just another grudge match, but it's false count anywhere. There's 2 title matches, a number 1 contender match, and one of those title matches is also have a career, but that's all the stakes they have this whole show. And considering world champion Hulk Hogan, U.S. champion Jeff Jarrett, television champion William Regal, or Lord Steven Regal, as he was in WCW, and the cruiserweight champion Sitz or X-Pac weren't booked. 2 of them were there. They show up on the show. Why weren't they wrestling? You booked your champions. It was a great example of how you can pinpoint what was ultimately always wrong with WCW. Is that they didn't really treat their pay-per-views like the big events they were. If you're going to charge people $30 to watch a show, you should give them the biggest show of the month. That doesn't mean you can't provide big, top-tier quality shit on weekly television as well. But as I go, and it wasn't just a Hogan situation. Look at Goldberg, for example. Goldberg was WCW champion between July and December. At the July pay-per-view, he defends the title. Okay. August, he wrestles, but no title defense. September, he's not on the show at all. October, he defends the title. November, he shows up, but doesn't defend the title or wrestle whatsoever. And in December, he defends the title. So in a 5-month title reign, with those 6 pay-per-views, he had 3 title defenses, 1 match where it wasn't a title match, 1 just pop-up and spear a guy, despite the fact he's the world champion and this is a fucking pay-per-view, and 1 total no-show. But to be fair, at the total no-show, Chris Jericho did defeat Greenberg. Anyhow, I hope y'all guys enjoyed this video. It went longer than I thought it would. Please like, share, comment. Don't. I don't care. I don't care. I'm Jake Davis. I'll catch you on the fly.